Okay, Oscar fans, we are almost through with the Derby. We have not yet heard from WGA and BAFTA, but we've heard from a lot of other awards. It's time to hear from Pete Hammond of Deadline Hollywood. I'm Tom O'Neill of Gold Derby, and Pete, 17 out of the 20 experts now say Roma will win Best Picture.
Right.
Do you agree?
Well, I haven't gone on Gold Derby, as you know, yet.
Hollywood is holding its breath, by the way.
They're holding their breath. Well, they don't have to hold much longer because I did predictions in 24 categories for the upcoming edition of Awards Line, the print version, which will be there with the idea that I could change them all by the time I hit online because I had to do this very early. But I am not predicting Roma for Best Picture.
Okay.
Yeah, but I heard that number of experts. Somebody was telling me that. That was interesting. But no, I am... going in a different way based on the preferential ballot and the tricks that can pull. I think Green Book, because of the Producers Guild in particular, has that same voting method, went for Green Book. And it seems to me the kind of likable movie that would be a strong number 2 vote if it's not a number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Roma is a very strong number 1 vote. But I have a feeling it's not necessarily everybody's number 2 movie if it's not their number 1. And it could be their last because I know people in this town that are purposely voting against it and putting it as low as they can.
Roma, but people are doing that with Green Book as well. That's the problem.
And I don't know of anybody that's doing that. But I know people that are doing this not because of the movie, because of Netflix.
Oh, interesting.
They don't want to see Netflix win Best Picture. These people that I talk to. And they're using that method, a similar method that was used for La La Land, when everyone thought that was going to win Best Picture.
Right.
I know people that put it dead last, even though they didn't feel it deserved to be dead last.
Right. It's a strategy for voting here.
Strategy.
But let's say, for the sake of our brethren and sisters at Gold Derby, that they're right and that it's Roma. The challenges to accepting that idea are that it wasn't nominated at SAG. Shape of Water somehow surmounted that last year and won Best Picture.
Right.
It's foreign language. No foreign language film, at least in modern times, has won Best Picture. And Never, right. Well, do you count All Quiet on the Western Front? Or do you count? No. Okay, all right. When you look at that far. But the point being is that Roma would be boundary breaking.
Yeah.
So
it would totally be boundary. Every picture that has been nominated for Best Picture that's also in the foreign language category has won foreign language and lost Best Picture.
Right.
That is because the Academy looks at the foreign language category as a Best Picture category for those films. And so it's very difficult to cross over and have them do this psychological thing of voting it twice. Foreign language picture and picture.
But that's fairly recent, though, that they opened that up to a popular vote for round 2. Yeah. So how much history do we really have there to show us?
Yeah.
So that's the challenge there. Let's go back to Green Book.
Also, I have to say one thing.
Yeah.
There has never been a foreign language picture with as expensive a campaign as this one.
Yeah.
There's hardly been a movie with as expensive a campaign
as this one. It is the biggest spender in Oscar history. We don't know what the numbers are, but I'll tell you what I've heard once we get off this video. What I've heard, and we can compare notes. But yeah, they're spending like crazy. But also, here's why it may be a smart prediction, and that is we have seen a pattern recently of the esoteric art house movie, from Moonlight to Birdman to Shape of Water winning.
I agree with you.
And Roma fits that profile.
I agree with you 100%. I see that pattern. That is also based on preferential balloting as well with those things. They've split in many cases with the directing category, which never used to happen. 4 out of the last 6 years, we've had a director-picture split.
That's because 4 out of the last 6 years, they had a different voting system for the 2 awards.
Yeah, and that's what they have now. Yeah. And Cuarón won the DGA, and he'll win the Oscar for directing.
Yes.
They may want to think, wait a minute, how many are we giving him, for this one movie, and may want to spread the wealth, as you know. I mean, that goes on, that thinking. Let's take Green Book even out of the equation. There's many other movies that have a path to winning the Best Picture in this.
Star is Born.
I've talked to the producers of Star is Born at the Oscar nominees lunch, and they said, we're going full hog because we believe in this preferential thing. We think it could benefit us. And,
that
who knows?
could be people's number 2 vote. And that, kind of consensus carries it over.
The favorite.
What about the favorite?
That, I think, is going to be a big winner at BAFTA.
Yes, it will be.
But
it's a female perspective film, and a female perspective film won last year. You have to go back to Million Dollar Baby, you've seen that before. That does have a gender issue.
That does have a gender issue, if that is an issue.
I mean, if gender prejudice exists in the mind of the
It also has Fox Searchlight behind it, who are very savvy campaigners, particularly in what we call the second phase after the nominations. And their ad line, they always come up with these great ad lines. They took out all these big ads, that say "all in favor," and it's almost like almost like a meeting that you're at. And okay, all in favor. All right, done. Best Picture. I thought that was great.
Searchlight won for Birdman, for 12 Years a Slave, for Shape of Water, right?
So that movie's well liked too. We'll see how well liked, but I do think the BAFTA momentum will help it happening just as the Oscar ballots go live.
Does this mean that when we get into the screenplay categories, that this is where Spike Lee finally wins a competitive Oscar?
Absolutely agree with that.
For adapted
that is what I'm going with here. I think, well, if you look at the screenplay adaptation, there are only 2 that are nominated for Best Picture out of 5 nominees there. Generally, they're going to favor the Best Picture nominee in a category like that. So you have Star is Born and BlacKkKlansman, both of which Spike Lee and Bradley Cooper are multiple nominees. This could be the thinking, this is where we can give one of them an award. And I think likely to go to Spike Lee in this case with his other writers there.
I wish we knew that Writers Guild winners now. For example, like if Green Book wins there, that would be a tip-off that not to take all that Green Book naysaying seriously, right?
I don't think anyone's taken that seriously that I talked to.
Well, 17 of our 20 experts do.
They do, but they're not in the industry. And, I have not found that people are taking that seriously. And it's proof positive as you've gone through every awards thing, it keeps winning and it keeps coming up okay. So, but if I heard them talking about it. I've been asked this question. I just did an interview with the Times of London. It came up. It was all about race in the Hollywood now and everything. And then they bring up Green Book. But I said, basically it's sort of been tampered down because, well, Deadline ran a story with the actual recordings of Don Shirley and Tony Lip. And those were the recordings that the actors used to study them. And very clearly, it contradicts everything that they were trying to say about the movie, and that the family, so-called family, was trying to say. There also is a public record of the will out there. Interesting reading. So, a lot of this is dirty tricks. Tom, you've been around this long enough.
I don't believe the dirty tricks thing.
I think there's so much dirty tricks going on. Let's talk about Bohemian Rhapsody. Talk about dirty tricks. My God,
Well, who's doing the dirty tricking?
We don't know.
You and I off camera have actually documented as 2 Oscarologists one case of where we know dirty tricksters really did happen.
Yes.
And it was after the final voting, so it couldn't have affected that home run.
Right.
But I'm a little skeptical with all the other claims because I've never found anyone, have you, where somebody from a rival campaign is calling us or
I have gotten calls.
Really? Okay.
But very subtle calls. They
subtle.
call it a whisper campaign.
Yeah.
And, someone will call up and they'll say, oh, man, I really, really love Bohemian Rhapsody, but what's this stuff with, Bryan Singer and everything? They'll be subtle.
Right.
They'll praise the movie. This is my latest thing that I hear. I heard it on Green Book, too. They'll praise the movie, and then they'll say, what's up with the family? And it's very interesting kind of thing. But I don't know that it's having an effect. We'll see. It may have an effect. We don't know. I'm more strong. And the reason I've said Green Book is that Producers Guild thing was very interesting to me.
8 out of 10 years that's been right.
It's the only one that has the same voting system, that preferential balloting. And that, with the Oscars, and I've always been, as you know, against preferential balloting. I think it ought to be a straight up and down, all categories voted the same way, not 23 one way and 1 a different way, but it's designed to get a consensus of what I call the least liked movie.
Right. All right, final category for this video chat here, and that is original screenplay.
Yeah, that's tough.
The favorites out front, but what do you say?
Well, I say there's 4 that are Best Picture front runners, really, in that category. And then there's First Reformed, which its only nomination there. And people say, well, Paul Schrader's never been nominated and he deserves it. The Academy at large voting aren't going to look at that. They are not going to look at it. So we're looking at these 4 films. Vice, which Adam McKay won a couple of years ago, a very sharply written movie. There's Roma. But I really think we can eliminate Roma in the writing category because
it's improvised so much.
And basically they know they have so many other opportunities to give him an Oscar for this movie that writing would be a little laying it on too thick here. So that's probably the least of its chances of winning anything. And then you have
The Favorite.
The Favorite, which you mentioned.
And that's all about the wordplay. It's all about, it's almost a work of literature. How do you not vote for that?
But there has been a hit on that too, that they've moved the facts all around, and a lot of this didn't happen in that time period and all of that. And
that's what's called creative license and movie making, right?
I know.
Why do they all take a hit here?
Yeah.
Look, it didn't matter with Argo. Argo was beaten up on authenticity. That final scene on the tarmac never happened.
Right.
A Beautiful Mind had the Bee Geeses beat out of it all Oscar season, and it still won.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can survive these.
They can, yeah. I think in the end, I think it's a tough one to call. I really do. I don't know what's going to win there, and I think if anybody told you that, they'd be crazy. The Favorite is not nominated for WGA, so we won't be able to test it there. It's not eligible there. And, you know, it'll win big at BAFTA for sure. It didn't win the Globe in this category.
I don't know it's going to win at BAFTA. We always say that as pundits. Oh, the British movie's going to win. There were two last year. There was Dunkirk and Darkest Hour, and neither one of them won.
Yeah, but this one's leading all the nominees. And
let's see if we agree with that after.
I would say original screenplay will probably match Best Picture. So if I'm predicting Best Picture, even on a preferential thing for Green Book, I would say that I'll have to stick with Green Book in that category, the winner of the Golden Globe. We'll see what wins at Writers Guild, though, because it'll be interesting.
That's usually a tea leaf to take seriously. What do you say? Enough of what the experts say. Here's your big chance to go to Gold Derby, make your predictions, and prove that you are the smartest prognosticator in Hollywood. Not Tom and Pete. You know that. I know that. Do it.